A quick update on where I am. I'm on the road to earning £1,000 a month every month, online only, using a scalable, systematized model. That was a real mouthful. But I want to move all of my earning from face-to-face or having a job completely to online so that I can be independent of location independent, so freedom from where I earn my money, and scalable, something that can be scaled up to high heights. I stopped working my job a few years ago and took on this online earning thing, and it has been a real journey. I can't really go into too much about what happened at the beginning for a few reasons. I will eventually be able to do that, but not now. All I will say is whenever you start a business, be very, very, very careful about who you start that business with. And if one were to start a partnership, there is something called a partnership agreement form, which you must get your own lawyer to check over. Do not say one was to have, say, two other partners that they were starting a business with, and one of those partners said, don't worry about the form, I'll get it drawn up by my lawyer and we'll all sign it. Do not do that. You must, even if it's your best friend, a family member even more so, get your own lawyer. It's going to cost you between £500 and £1,000. It could be the best money you've ever spent, okay? I diverged. So I am on this road to earning £1,000 every month online using a scalable model and then growing from there. Be careful if you start your own business, as I just went off on that tangent. Be really careful. You can write to me some questions if you're about to go on that journey in the comments, and I will try and respond as best I can to help you. Just be careful about who you choose and make sure everything gets checked over by a lawyer, your own lawyer, independent of anybody else who's involved. And be careful of anybody whining and dining you anyway. So it's led me to a place where I had for years been studying self-development, self-improvement, and I kept hearing about the importance of mindset, how important mindset is, the importance of goal setting, planning your day the night before, the importance of sleep. And honestly, I was just learning a lot of this stuff for the sake of learning it. It wasn't until I started a business working for myself that I came to realize, it slapped me hard in the face, how crucial all of this stuff is. So learning is context dependent. When somebody says, I've read these 17 books, they're really important to me, that's for them in that place where they are there. You might be back here and you need a different 17 books to read, okay? I hope this is kind of making sense. So I'd been hearing about the importance of mindset and how you think and managing your mind, but I didn't really appreciate how crucial that is until I was put in a very, very difficult situation. And quite frankly, it was one of the hardest times in my life, but a time of great growth. Since that time, I had been for years hearing about how important reading is, reading books. All of the great people I've studied were avid readers. I was in a room with a guy called Richard Bandler, who is the co-creator of neuro-linguistic programming. He's a bit of a controversial guy, but he's also a smart guy, I would say. He's like a mad genius. So I would take what he says and at least give it some serious consideration. And he said, you need to be, his words were, I think, fantastic. You need to be a ferocious learner. You should be a ferocious learner. So you should be hungry to read. So a few years ago, I had this very difficult time, and then I had this thing going around in the back of my mind. that it's important to read. And after maybe the 1000th time of hearing it, I thought I need to start reading more. The problem I had is that I found it very, very hard to focus. I'll do a separate video on this. So I had to actually buy a course to teach me how to read well. And even now I would say, well, you have to be careful what you speak over yourself, but I can be a fast reader. I need to be mindful about how I do that. But the initial challenge was it was hard for me to read. I'll do a separate video on that if that could be helpful. If you're watching this and that could be helpful, just put a book emoji in the comments, or book tips, or just put yes, teach me how to read, or share that, I'd be happy to do that. Oh, sorry, I was trying to make it easy for you, but it overcomplicated things. Right, so I've been reading a ton of books, and I want to share a little bit about each of these books. So the 4 Agreements, very quick book review, very, very helpful. If you're somebody who takes things personally, who finds yourself getting caught up in your own thoughts, this is a very short read with some 4 principles. I do not agree with everything in there, the spiritual stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. This channel's not really going to be about that, but useful book, short, easy read, great one to start with if you're not the best reader. All right, let me look at what I could go to next. I'm going to do a separate video with the order in which I would read these books, because this isn't really helpful for that. Okay, The Big Leap. I did not realize, I'd heard from Anthony Robbins many, many times how we have an emotional home where we habitually go back to, and patterns in the way that we think, and how when 9/11 happened, that he was in Hawaii and he observed some people just got very angry, some people were happy that it happened, other people had other emotions, and he asked them specifically why, and he discovered that they were it was their go-to emotion, and that we often sabotage ourselves without realizing it. Say things are going really well, we sabotage ourselves. I didn't find it the easiest to read. It's a short book. I just found that maybe there was waffle, or maybe it was me, but there were 3 very useful gems in this. Yes, I recommend reading it for understanding your own mind. Okay, PsychoCybernetics, what a title. Our view of ourselves, our self-image, is incredibly, incredibly important. I thought I understood this fully about 6 months ago, and as I've said in my other videos, there are layers to learning things. More recently, I've come to realize how we perceive ourselves, our self-image, affects, it's nearly given me a nosebleed thinking about how badly it affects us. The people we attract into our lives, the relationships we settle for, it is so powerful. It's a book I think you might have to read a couple of times. It's so rich, but I remember reading this, and this may sound a bit weird, it was as if I was changing my reality around me. The people around me were treating me differently. As I became more aware of how I saw myself, and how that was not optimal for my life, and then started to change it. But I do think I need to read this book again. It was incredible how it was affecting other things in my life in a good way. PsychoCybernetics, not necessarily the first book I'd read. For productivity, and if you're somebody who gets easily distracted, Do It Today by David, you can't see that, it's not focusing, by David Ferocious is, wow, it made me not feel alone as a solopreneur on this journey of getting distracted, being frustrated, having to build systems. Brilliant, brilliant book. And as I say, if there's anything you want me to talk about, just drop a comment there, and I would be happy to share my experience. I've been to a ton of self-development seminars. I've been through some interesting phases the last 6 months. I might be able to share some of my mistakes that could save you. This is a book next that I've heard about for years. It's kind of seen as one of the original self-help books. How to Win Friends and Influence People. You will learn in business that being able to deal with people, you might think you're good at dealing with people. This is powerful. It's short chapters, punchy, Absolutely brilliant book. I'm going to be releasing a video now about in the next week about a challenge I did to build my mindset. I'm keeping this under 10 minutes. Look out for that video. Hope you're having a great week. Speak soon.